Delivering a speech is usually an anxiety-provoking experience for students. Even if they've carefully prepared an effective outline, they still worry about presenting the speech. Obviously, one of the best ways to ensure good speech delivery is to practice. Students come to the lab to use the whisper room and record themselves delivering the speech, or they may want to give the speech directly to you. Either way, they often ask for feedback. They want to know how they did, and they also want to know how they can do better. So, how can you help a student improve their speech delivery? It's always a good idea to ask if the instructor has a rubric or evaluation sheet that they use to grade the speech. If the student has one, you can see exactly what that instructor is looking for, which will help you give constructive feedback. If they don't, you can still help them by knowing what constitutes good speech delivery. You're looking at both what they say, which is content, and how they say it, which is delivery. Here are some things to look for in content. In the introduction, does their opening statement grab your attention? Are they showing the relevance of this topic to their audience? Do they mention their credibility on the topic, and do they have a clear preview? In the body of the speech, is it easy for you to follow their train of thought? Are they clearly expressing their ideas? If it's a persuasive speech, are their arguments clear and understandable? Can you tell what their main points are? What about their supporting material or evidence? Do you hear any sources cited? And are they using transitions to move between points? And in the conclusion, do they summarize or restate the central idea? Is their closing statement effective and solid? As far as delivery goes, most instructors require the extemporaneous style of speaking, which means that the student has notes to keep them on track, but they are not necessarily reading their speech. On the other hand, they shouldn't have to memorize it either. If it looks like they are reading, they probably don't have proper keyword, key phrase note cards. They've put too much information in them, or they may be reading straight from their outline. In either case, you need to have them create good speaking notes. Even if they're not reading, however, they might need to have better eye contact. A good ratio is 75% of the time they should be looking at the audience, and 25% of the time they can look down at their cards. If they use the whisper room, they can see how much time they spend looking at their note cards. Any body movements or gestures they use should be natural and in keeping with the information they're providing in their speech. Students may not know what to do with their hands, so reassure them that it looks just fine if their hands are at their sides doing nothing or holding their note cards. Often body movement portrays nervousness, things like pacing, rocking back and forth, moving your legs, those kinds of things. And it can also portray unprofessionalism, as when they are leaning on things or tapping on the podium. Always time the student's speech. Have them give the speech several times so that they always have an average time. The speech that is consistently too long or too short needs editing. Remember, you're not Simon Cowell, and this isn't American Idol. Your job here is to provide them with information that is going to help them when they actually deliver the speech in class. The best method of providing feedback is by using the sandwich method, in which you sandwich any negative comments in areas which need improvement in between positive comments about things they are already doing well. Here's an example. Start with a positive comment about their speech. As an example, I really like your visual aid. Then give them a note about an area in which they need improvement. So, you've said you like their visual aid, and now you can say, I noticed that you were looking at the visual aid the entire time you were talking about it. Then give another positive comment about the speech, such as, your voice is really loud and clear. So as you can see, the note about the area that they need to improve, looking at the visual aid instead of looking at the audience, was sandwiched in between those two positive comments. And finally, give them a step that they can take to address a problem. It's not just enough to tell them what's wrong with it. You need to tell them how to fix it. So here's an example. Say to them, so the next time you practice this speech, focus on talking more to the audience. And unless you're pointing out something specific on the visual aid, don't turn away from us to look at it. The more speeches you watch and listen to, the better you're going to get at seeing things that students are doing well and things that they need to improve on. Remember the sandwich method of providing effective feedback, and your tutees will walk out feeling more confident in their abilities.